Hold on.
Or better
Ugh.
yet, just spin up VirtualBox.
That too. Just have like a
something on there.
A sandbox air gapped virtual machine.
Look.
Get her a Mac, put her on Parallels.
I'm going to need you to stop now.
What
You were making me angry.
What's the name of the software?
Printmaster.
Is it still called Printmaster?
Yeah.
See, to me, that's one of the more impressive things that they still
kept
call
the
it
name. Yeah. No, and it operates like I'm
All
sure
one word.
I think so. But it operates off of like you would make it's in the realm of not Photoshop. Oh God, what's the software I'm trying to think of? It's in the realm.
By Broderbund. That's a name I haven't heard in long.
What's the software I'm thinking about? Anyway, it's basically just a thing where you just open up a project in its page and you put a bunch of clip art on it, and you can do text boxes and you can do things like that. And obviously, more modern versions, you could import your own pictures like JPEGs and PNGs and stuff and do it's. But that's all it is. It's kind of on the realm of publisher almost.
I like how there's a new Mavis Beacon.
Yeah.
Like they just found some random lady and was like, this is Mavis Beacon. That is not what Mavis Beacon looked like 15 years ago when I was learning how to type.
Well, and what you were learning on was probably 20 years or 25 years old.
She looked a lot older when I was learning.
Okay, I love how this Printmaster. So the current version is Printmaster 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this
Broderbund. That's a name that I haven't heard in a long
we are
time.
going deep. This is a deep rabbit hole.
Let's throw out the Microsoft 50th. Let's talk about Broderbund.
You're welcome.
Maybe okay. So there's the typing and Mavis Speak and Teach Typing Anniversary Edition. What's the Anniversary Edition?
Hold on, I didn't see that.
This also I'm not sure she looks like the Mavis Beacon I remember, but oh my word, the way this is laid out, this is definitely a I remember this. I'm not gonna say I remember it fondly, but I remember it.
See, my favorite, I'd have to go digging for it. My favorite learn to type thing that actually made sense to me was not the Mavis Beacon one for
Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? They still have Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego for $10.
You can get.
Wow, that's expensive.
Last I looked, at least, you can get Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on Steam.
Nice.
Like, no joke.
I believe it. Oh, system requirements: Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. It'll still run on Pentium 4.
I actually might have one of those hanging around. We might be able to test that.
Yeah, DirectX 8.1 compatible or higher video card. 64 by 48 minimum screen resolution.
Let me go dig out an old Voodoo 2000. That should probably run it.
The good old days.
Right? Back in the day when you needed not only a video card, but also a sound card just to use your computer.
Yeah.
I like this.
Thank God I missed that. I missed that by probably like 2 or 3 years.
No.
r/typing. Which Mavis Beacon did you grow up with?
Oh my God. Hostility Morning Show. I'm your host, John, joined today by
Nathan.
Steven.
Matthew.
Steven.
What?
Happy 50th. Oh, wait, not ours.
Don't scare me like that.
Congratulations. Our main corporate overlord, Microsoft, turned 50-year-olds today. Or, whenever it was soon enough. Whippy, woo!
This is almost our 50th episode. That would have been funny if it kind of landed at the same time.
We can manipulate the numbers to make it so it could be, yeah. No, so Microsoft turned 50, and they did probably
the most Microsoft thing ever.
Yeah, the worst announcement ever with it. It's not like, oh, let's celebrate 50 years of our accomplishments. 50 years of the people who helped contributed to this. No, let's make it a Copilot event.
Yeah, the most Microsoft thing ever.
I hate every second of it.
What's the current thing that we're trying to sell the absolute most of we possibly can? Yeah, let's celebrate our 50th with that.
AI. AI.
Little column A, little column B, you know.
So obviously, my opinion of the event was not great. Anyone else have any top end highlights before we kind of dig into it of their opinions? Were they ecstatic, super happy, really like looking forward to any of the new announcements? Only positives, obviously. Matthew, you look like you have some
No,
positive
I'm just
feedback.
disappointed because Steve
absolutely.
Ballmer didn't do the thing. That's all I have to say about that.
You didn't like the 8-minute long video of them
No.
being interviewed by
Steve
Copilot?
Ballmer didn't do the thing. That case closed.
I can't hear you guys over the sound of the penguins. So
This
Sorry.
guy.
All right, Nathan.
They waddling really loud today or something.
Yep.
Anything?
No.
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 All
It
right.
was it, I almost missed it, and yeah, no. If you're looking for Microsoft to say anything other than Copilot,
they-
apparently you're out of luck.
Have they canceled the 365 Link PC yet?
I don't know, honestly.
Look it up.
The bane of your existence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Your
still the
nemesis.
dumbest thing in the world that I've ever seen.
Which, considering the amount of topics we've covered, that is impressive.
They killed off, to reiterate, they killed off the ARM PCs that they were making, like the dev kits,
Uh-huh.
and then introduced this instead,
Uh-huh.
like the 365 Link.
But look, it has
And
the
as
cool
far as
little
I can
logo on
tell,
it.
It's still alive.
It has a
And
cool
then you have
logo on
Apple
it.
over there with the Mac Mini M4, which is just like a good deal, a shockingly good deal for what it is.
Yeah, I'm honestly curious. Like, when are we actually going to have the real reality of Windows on ARM? Like a good usable, because they have some machines out now that's technically
Aren't there,
ARM
they're-
Cortex.
Yeah, their Ultra CPUs are technically ARM, aren't they not?
They are, but it's like Windows on ARM. It exists, but it's not like it's not a priority. It's not like a
No.
real alternative right now. It's just
Is
more,
it Copilot?
I don't
Then
know.
no, it's not a priority.
Well, I think also part of it is they've basically trained the base that makes the software. So all of the third parties that make Microsoft software, everyone's used to just letting it sit for 10 years. So yeah, there's going to be ARM eventually, but it's going to take them so long because sure, Microsoft could prioritize all of their first party software and get that onto ARM, I would imagine pretty quickly. And I would be very surprised if a lot of it isn't already available on ARM. The problem is all of the third party software.
Mhm.
Because that's the Achilles heel of the Microsoft approach is that
And the third-party software wouldn't be so much of an issue if Microsoft had something like what Apple has with the Rosetta compatibility layer, or with
no, that makes sense.
like
No,
Box
no.
64 or something
No.
like that on
Yeah.
the Linux side. Like if they had that to bridge the gap, so third-party software was almost a non-issue, then the migration wouldn't be that much of an issue.
Well,
But
if you want something
yeah.
like that to exist, you need to go and build it and then get bought by Microsoft so they can say they're going to integrate it, then kill the project, but hold all the patents so it can't be
Yeah.
remade.
that sounds like Skype.
Still technically exists.
I thought it died this year.
It's technically dead, but it still exists.
It's a zombie.
It's still out there.
Mangled bits of it are shoved into Teams and
Yeah, it's
Frankenstein together.
yeah, its ghost is going to be there for a long time. Speaking of things that are going to be there for a long time, I guess we can get into the 50th celebration. But to celebrate Microsoft's great successes for 50 years, they killed Windows 10.
Which was one of their best successes in a while.
I mean, after the disastrous launch of 8, and then like
Mhm.
it's like they tripped on the brick and fell flat on their face with 8, and then they kind of like stood up, brushed themselves off, and then like only half stumbled with 8.1, and then 10 was finally like, okay, so this is almost the true successor to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was also supposed to be the last Windows version ever.
I
in
do
case
remember
anybody
that
remembers
marketing that they did. It
They
we
were-
weren't supposed to have anything past Windows 10. It was just
That's
supposed to
right.
be Windows.
so do we know what is the what are the paths to continue using Windows 10 for the next year because Microsoft said there are some, but it seems to change every 3
If I
months.
understand it right, there's like
Some
a
license you have to buy.
Theo Joe video. You go into settings and you can turn on like extended updates or something like
Yeah,
that.
so you have to go and purchase for businesses a extended security patching license. They do this for every EOL OS that they do, where you can get up to it's like at least a year's worth of security patches, but you don't get any feature patches. These are just vulnerabilities. That's all it is. And it's one of those I don't really recommend it if you are basically hard set that computer has to stay on Windows 10 for say like software compatibility for whatever reason. Yank that thing off the network then. Just let it be its own thing. It's not you just have to lower the risk factor. The biggest risk is having that thing be available to reach the World Wide Web. I mean, you could network isolate it by itself, make sure it can't reach the WAN. That's better. But again, if you're having like other machines still being able to talk with it, not great internally from a security standpoint. That's bad.
If business owners could hear you right now, they'd be very angry.
I'm aware.
Well, see, so the thing with Microsoft is like you said EOL, right?
Yeah.
Most people hear that as end of life, but with Microsoft, that's extended opportunity licensing. That's all
Correct.
that is.
That is correct. It's money making
Pretty
opportunity.
good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Now it's again. It's like we're back to the old days of Windows Embedded, XP 7. Now it's now 10 of we have to keep this around. Like our business depends on it. Our software has been updated to it. And that's where I get frustrated on the developer side. It's like, look, if you guys went with a software solution that they are not supporting, like past, I don't know, because Windows 10's been a thing since what, 2014, 2013?
2014 or 2015.
Yeah.
So around there, it's like, well, like, 10-ish years. So, I mean, I'm not saying that a software product, like, once it's put out into the ether, should be supported for forever. But, like, if you're a true business that's like, hey, we built this software, that's what our business foundation is on. We want to help our client base because, we want to keep our clients happy long term. You should probably patch your software to be compatible on a new OS that the microcode, for all intents and purposes, going from Windows 10 to Windows 11 is not that different.
Yeah, and that's that's the point. The thing that I don't understand, but I also don't know anything about this, so that's my not understanding is probably valid. But as to your point of like being frustrated with developers, it's like, is it really that much harder to build software that is more modular, that is more uh flexible, that can be? Because I understand like there have been and there are certain methodologies of coding softwares where it's like really rigid, like it's fixed to that one version of OS or that one thing that it's going to be used on, and you can code it in such a way it's like, nope, it has to run on this thing or else it just won't work. But is it really that much harder to not do it that way and like make it more? It's like where it
Because
can
isn't
be
it more dependable on like obviously the code base, but how it's also compiled for the OS that it's going to be utilized on? So
Yeah,
like
so this is outside of my realm of expertise. The compiling for different architectures,
Mhm.
CPU architectures, I'm not quite as familiar of what that looks like. For the most part, my understanding is it's more dependent on the compiler to support it, not necessarily the software to be coded in such a way that it supports it. Now, somebody else can probably come in the comments and say, no, that's not how it works. But for different CPU architecture, as long as it's compiled for that architecture, it should work.
Mhm.
So like Linux, right? As long as for the most part, as long as the compiler supports a given architecture, like PowerPC is still supported in most places. 32-bit software is still a thing. Like that kind of stuff, as long as you compile it, you're good. That's why stuff like Gentoo is a big deal, because you can download and compile anything on pretty much anything.
And I guess my example that the thought that's in my mind is like we had a client well, not a client, but just a company that we were gonna do some work with. I think it's the one that we recommended to Ian's company to have some work done for their software because they had a custom software for their business type that was made back in the early 2000s, and it ran on, I believe it was Windows Server 2012 R2 or it was Windows Server 2008, or I can't remember. It was one of those versions.
Yeah.
old.
And it was
It's old.
literally um, they were looking for help because the way the software was built by the developer who built it, it literally could not be installed on any other operating system but that.
Mhm.
But I think you could probably install it on Windows 7, like on the Windows the Windows version, the non-server version of that era. But for all intents and purposes, like it had to run on that version of server because they attempted to at some point somebody attempted to update it to on Windows Server 2016 or something like that, and it just fell on its face, couldn't run.
I would be curious. So for
And the
Windows
bigger issue is that
versions,
the person who coded, the original developer of it, passed away, and
nice.
so
For Windows versions, that could be as simple as like it's looking for a specific um, OS version number, right? It could be something as dumb as that, where it expects this to be Windows Server 2012, and it's not
it's
that
almost like you just go in and change a variable and surprise it works.
like honestly, that could be as simple as what it was. For Windows versions, with how much backwards compatibility there is, I would imagine that it was probably something more along those lines, where it was a restriction for some reason, and it was probably a like a forward-facing restriction, if that makes sense, like to make sure that it was running on Windows Server 2012 and not like Windows
it's
Server 2000 or
like,
something
it's
like that.
like an older it was more looking back than
it may be
looking
doing
forward.
like a checksum,
Yeah.
for the OS that it's currently operating on. If it doesn't come back with the variable of what it's expecting,
But
it
if
just
it
does
did
hard
that,
fail.
if that was the case, then it basically accidentally put in a future restriction of
That would be
it can
my
no longer,
guess.
Yeah,
As something like that. Because for it to just not run at all on the newer version. Another thing that it could be is that there was some kind of component that was installed, some library or something, some DLL was hanging around somewhere on the server that they missed. And so maybe that's what it is.
Because it was a database style software. It was
which is so dumb. Just run it with SQL. Like,
yeah. Oh, it was
the dumbest thing
as well.
ever.
And again, like that's the example that I had in my head. I'm not saying that I'm not applying that as the direct example of like my comment about developers making software more future ready. But it was just that type of scenario.
For like Windows to Windows, I would be curious as to like what the actual technical reason was, because I can't think of many good ones off the top of my head.
More real examples
because yours makes a lot of sense. I'm leaning more towards that checksum of like, because at least like when I was doing a lot of scripting back in the day, we would put in like, hey, we only want this script to run on these types of OSs, so we would put a check in there saying it has to be either of this microarchitecture or it has to be of this version. And we give, an actual table of here's all the OS versions that we support.
Yeah.
And then it just goes. But it's
and-
like, but if your case there, it's like, it's probably something similar to that. Or again, it's probably, in my opinion, there's something that they either hard coded or when they put in an additional library into it, there was no way to port forward that, move it to a different OS. Like you basically almost have to recompile that software itself again on the new platform that you're putting it to.
A more real example though of kind of what we're talking about here is are the more the industrial companies and stuff like that when 2019 happened and everybody got up in a fuzz like, oh no, because our software runs on Windows 7 and it has to, but like there are real softwares out there that even before that people saw XP machines out there because there were industrial type softwares, SCADA type softwares, all that were in fact coded in such a way they literally could not be run on anything but that. And so it's that type of thing that I'm confused and I don't understand why a developer would even code a software like that.
For a lot of those, like again, those industrial systems and like a lot of our train and subway systems, it's the same thing. Running that old software is.
But why would you even build it that way? That doesn't even make sense.
It's not because it's not built that way. The software and and what it requires to run, they never provided an updated version that could go to a new OS. And it was like basically it got updated to a point. But for it to move, say like from XP up to 10, it's such a large leap that you essentially have to rewrite a large section of the code base for it to be, forward compatible. It was either going to be too costly that business may no longer be, in business anymore. And like from the owner's perspective, the business owner's perspective.
Well, no,
who-
I'm
who
not
ha-
even.
who
I'm not even
has these
talking
machines.
about
I know.
that side
No.
of it. I'm talking about the people who originally wrote the software.
Which I get. It's always software's a tricky thing, like especially
Mhm.
back in the day of software that was built for those platforms. How those methodologies then versus methodologies now are so drastically different because again, just how Windows has evolved over the years of moving from like core embedded apps to applets to now we have all these web apps, things of that nature. Everything's different.
Yeah.
There's so much, especially back then, like why a lot of it doesn't work probably now in like Windows 10 and 11 is because they killed off 32-bit compatibility. You
Mm-hmm.
can't run a 32-bit app on these newer operating
Yeah,
systems.
no, that part of it, yeah, something like
and
that.
like
I
and a
get.
lot of that stuff wasn't even 32-bit, it was 16-bit.
Yeah, that's true.
So and it's just stuff like that, and it's like moving it up that level of architecture is a massive ordeal. That is not a simple hit 2 checkboxes, go recompile it here, and hey, boom, now it works. No, that is a core architecture rework that you have to do to ensure, hey, when you want to move this over, it to be compatible here, it's a new software.
Well, they have
And-
done. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, to your point, again, like I think going back to the tooling question, most things I would imagine are going to be. It's not a like developers got in their cubicle. They programmed this thing specifically for Windows XP. They didn't want to see it on anything but Windows XP. That's where it was gonna. That's what it's deployed to. That's where it's gonna live until the heat death of the universe, right? Like that probably has happened somewhere, but in general, what most likely happened was if this is an in-house application and they still have access to it, whatever tools that they used to build it were only available for that particular.
I like the actual developer tools.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in the way that you use Visual Studio.
And you
it's-
can kind of like chicken
other
and egg
stuff.
and be like, hey, well, why didn't those tools forward support? In some cases, they might be able to, but again, it's like
It all comes
the changes between Windows versions.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can break things for stuff like this,
Mhm.
and then
And for
if
the-
nobody
and for
goes
the
back and
dumbest reasons,
supports it,
too.
yeah, then you're up a creek without a
Well,
paddle. That's
'cause
why
be-
compatibility layers exist.
Yeah, and that's where it's like again from the software developer side, it's like that is expensive to do. From the business owner perspective on those machines, like if say that software is no longer in development anymore, moving to a new platform that does everything that that current host can do is expensive to do. So why a lot of those embedded systems are still hanging out there, it's cost. Everything's a cost. And we haven't really had a great incentive to move forward. And that's why it's like you have all these businesses now coming out there that are selling these retro business PCs that still run Windows XP or Windows Embedded, things of that nature to keep that architecture alive because it is more cost effective for as a business owner to go and replace a machine like that with the software that it already is compatible with what you're currently using than to go out and find a new vendor to get your infrastructure back up and online because like especially with the train scenario, like how long can you afford to have a train system offline?
Mhm.
It's huge for a manufacturer, like especially large scale manufacturers. Minutes go down could be thousands to sometimes hundreds of thousands to occasionally millions of dollars.
I still say that a large part of this this problem, this and the problem that we've seen accelerate and become more and more of a problem since really since probably Windows 7 came out, but that that mid 2000s to present and into the future. I still say that one of the root causes, not the root cause, is that back in the 90s they sold this crap, hardware and software, like they were washing machines and refrigerators.
Mhm.
They sold these. When the
As
computer
God intended.
when the computer was real, the PC, the home computer was really coming into its own, and people started getting them and buying them, and businesses really started getting them. All salesmen sold them how they were used to selling cars and
Mhm.
appliances, like, oh yeah, this thing will last you 10, 15 years. No, it won't. It never would. It never, since the beginning of anything, were computers and hardware and software ever going to last large amounts of times like an appliance would.
Well-
that was never going to happen, but that's
But in-
all they knew how to sell. That's the way that sales
Well,
work.
in some cases they
And so
have.
there's-
Yeah.
So
Certain cases, yes. Other
Yes.
cases, no. But like if we're
Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth, the big
if we
enterprise
are
stuff.
if
Sure.
we're just talking the again bog standard end user desktop machine.
The thing the receptionist uses.
Yeah. Well, because you have to think it from the salesman's perspective of different industries. You're comparing the auto industry versus the technical industry. Which one develops its cycle faster? IT. It's
That's
always
what I'm
the
saying, though. We
ever-changing
know
side.
that
I know.
now.
We know that now, but back then it was like you could get away. Like there were for a very long time, you could have a 10, 12, 14, 15-year-old computer still in operation. Because like again, let's go back to the days. If you bought a computer in 2003, that you could have still been using that computer in 2013, 2014. I know people that did.
True.
Did it perform great? No, but it would still work. It was still
work.
big quotes reliable.
Mhm.
That's the thing. But like these days, if you bought, say, that same type of desktop computer now, would I say can you continue using that in 10 years? My opinion is probably not.
But
It's
that
it's not built to
mentality,
last.
because of how the market was at that point in time, all those people that got that mentality ingrained in their heads are now the CEOs. They're the finance directors. They're the they're the people that are running businesses now, and they're the people we have to fight with constantly to convince them this is not how it works anymore. This stuff doesn't last for 10 years. 3, on a good day. You might get 4 if you're lucky.
Well,
3 for a laptop, 5 for a desktop.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, but
that's
that's what my point is that
well,
that
even
old
then,
mentality that it started out with, it very quickly disappeared. It very quickly evolved into what we know today. But those
most
people
of that
that
is
were
because
around,
of garbage software quality these days.
Oh,
well, there's
100%.
yeah, I
The
think
fact
we
that every
covered that too.
application is a shipped browser
Bloated
is
nonsense.
just
Yeah,
stupid. That's inflating hardware requirements, and it's not because we're doing bigger and better things. It's because we're doing
we
the
can't
same thing.
explain that to a
worse.
normal person.
Well,
We
yeah,
have to convince them to buy new stuff.
Which again, from if you're running like an IT business, yeah, it makes sense to because we want to have machines that always have some type of either service contract or warranty on it, and when the warranty is up, we want to replace that machine because
or just aren't at end of life, just
I know.
aren't like knocking on the door.
I get it, but when we're looking at the liability standpoint here, because again, what's one of our biggest headaches is having to replace a machine. It's always a pain trying to get the user files, everything set back up exactly how it was, all the settings configured exactly the way that it was. That it's a pain point because then the person who has to use that machine is also not working.
Mhm.
So
Downtime's bad.
downtime is always bad. That's always the question that I have when I'm talking to people about, their workstations, their server infrastructure, their network infrastructure, all of that core stuff they use every day is how much downtime can you actually afford? Because depending on what that number is what we're going to be planning your roadmap for. So say if you can afford, 2 days of downtime, your business isn't that crucial. If a machine is gone for 2 days, say if your server goes down for 2 days, the business impact is minimal. Okay, awesome.
We need to reevaluate your business.
Well,
but-
if they're just doing like digital signage or digital marketing, things of that nature, most of their stuff isn't kept on the server. It's just kind of there for more of a convenience factor. And a lot of their stuff they're using is in the cloud. They really just need internet. There are ways we can get them spun up to reach the internet without the requirements of a server. So it's like if you can afford that level of downtime, awesome. You don't have to buy the largest and most expensive support contract or the nicest piece of equipment. You can cheap out on some of that stuff. But if go back to the automotive industry, if you are one of the large manufacturers out there and you need to have a 99.99999% uptime, that's a large ticket item cost that you're going to have to invest in, and not just your workstations, your server, your networking equipment, all of your APs you have out there, all of the supporting equipment for all of it. It's expensive. UPSs, it's expensive. Because then you have to have the supporting systems for all that too. Because you're talking power, HVAC. You're then having to have all that cabling run. You have to have all the additional redundancies put in place for it. If you want to play those types of big games, it comes at a big cost. And that's what you have to communicate to all these businesses that look, if you want to have this, if you want the expectation of a computer lasting 10 years, awesome. We can help with that. But there's a price to it.
I would like to interject for just a moment. I know we're talking business, but when we're talking about computers not lasting 10 years, 15 years and stuff like that, this is purely a Windows issue. This is
100%. It's not a Linux issue.
This is not a Linux issue.
Because if that, I was actually going to make that point earlier on the manufacturing side. If instead of them using Windows embedded for those solutions and they used a Linux-based system, it wouldn't be an issue. Legitimately, it would not be a problem.
Like I already said in this episode, Linux still supports PowerPC. Still supports 32-bit computers. You can find a relatively mainstream flavor of Linux like Debian, right? that supports these things out of the box.
Now-
You don't have to do anything wild and crazy.
I will want to jump. I do want to jump in here, and that is, if you are talking embedded systems, if you're talking things that require to start with relatively low compute power to begin with, yes, Linux. I have personally just been running into an issue where if you're talking something where it's a day in, day out personal work machine, once you hit definitely once you hit 5 to 10 years, I have a laptop that is about 8 years old at this point, and it is noticeably slower for me, and I'm running Linux on it. So if it's something that you're using day in and day out, 10 years,
Physical things wear out.
yeah,
no matter what.
physical things. What also even Linux does for end users items, Linux does advance too, and so there does come a point where even that does not run well on older software. It still runs, and it's still going to run a lot better than Microsoft will, 100%. But you will still notice degradation in the experience, and by that I also mean it takes longer. So even if you're running Linux, if it's your workstation and it's 10 years old, go get a new computer. And if your business can't afford you getting a new computer, your business is in trouble.
Yeah, but so you need to you need to reevaluate, because
Now, do you need to get a new computer every 2 to 3 years?
Eh.
Not really.
it all depends on, like,
That's
look,
where there's wiggle room.
it all depends on what level of resiliency are you needing.
If
Like,
the company's paying for it, go for it.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
now we've talked about all this stuff where Microsoft or Windows changing over the years has affected a lot of things, and there's been a lot of troubles with it. But by golly, there's one thing that hasn't changed since 1994, and that's Comic Sans. Everybody, hats off and salute to the greatest font ever created.
And that screaming you hear in the distance is all of the graphic artists and other creatives that are just losing their minds right now.
I still can't get behind why Samsung ever allowed anyone to change their default
Like texting font.
they're just the entire OS font
Mhm.
on the
Man,
device
I
to Comic
remember
Sans.
seeing like people, with the Galaxy S4s,
Yeah.
right? And then each one has like a completely different font. They've got like the flowery ones and stuff like that. I don't know how people use their phones.
I think it should be a
I don't know
fireable
either.
offense at any company for anyone to change their email font to Comic Sans.
Remind me to update your guys'
Yes.
contracts to include that
I'm
clause.
fine. Hey, I'll sign it.
You guys are signing contract?
Y'all are getting paid. I do want to circle back. I know we bashed on Microsoft killing Windows 10,
Everything.
but I do want to ask, what was your guys' first Microsoft OS that you used?
Windows 95.
XP.
Mine was also XP.
That was 95.
So here's the sad thing, though, is that mine was
God, you guys missed Windows 2000. Like, you missed ME, the best OS they ever released.
I thought ME was the first Vista.
ME was the first Vista. 95 was good. 98 was way better. And then they
Yeah.
did Windows ME, and that
Well, no, there's
crap
Windows 2000 was different than ME though, was it not?
ME was basically an update for it.
Okay, because I think that
Because
we
ME was
had
Millennium.
Millennium.
Thank you.
we just had 95, 98, and then just Windows 2000, and then I guess they just never bothered to do the Windows update to get ME, because then the next computer they got. I'm talking about my parents because we were we were back in the day when we had the family computer.
Yep.
But I think the next one they got was just XP. They never. I think they skipped ME if I remember correctly.
Yeah, most people did. Like, we went from it in our house. We went from 98 to XP because
Yeah. No, 98 was solid. God, 98
yeah, it
was
worked for
good.
the longest time ever.
Yeah.
Great.
I went from Mac environment to a corporate Windows XP. And then I bought a Windows XP netbook. And what was sad is that netbook ran better than the corporate PC I was running.
Not surprised.
Well,
Because that was
I'm not
are you
based on
talking about the
corporate, that's not
Asus,
surprising.
the Asus ePC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think half of the keyboard doesn't work anymore. It's like last time I tried using it, it was half the hardware wasn't working anymore. But yeah, that was an interesting time.
I still want to get back to my project of I tried at one point. I thought honestly, I thought it would be easy. I don't know why I thought this would be easy. But because it was the native thing that came on it. But I still have my HP Pavilion whatever from 2007 that came with Vista. And I liked Vista for I know that I've said this before, I'll still say it. Vista wasn't that bad if you actually had a computer that was meant to run it. But anyway, I digress. But I still have my copy of Windows Vista Ultimate as well. And so I have this goal. I want to get that laptop back up and running with as it was with Windows Vista, just because for no other reason. Problem is that when I tried to reinstall it, because the hard drive died, the original hard drive for it died. So I'm fresh installing. Yeah, drivers from 2007 are kind of difficult to find, and
Internet Archive.
Windows Vista is not like the modern OSs where it just kind of goes out and finds its own stuff. Well, mainly if you don't have a good network driver to start off with, it's kind of a moot point. You know, it can't go out and
you
find
don't just
stuff.
keep a random flash drive in your pocket that just had all the different versions of Intel's drivers for every PC that you ever owned, because I definitely had that for a long time.
No.
See, this is something that I think kids these days are missing out on is driver issues.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Of like having to, cycle through your discs that come with your different pieces of hardware and putting those in.
Like actually,
Or like
I've had to use the CD.
Or going to like the device manager and seeing the dreaded, yellow triangle going.
Yep.
I don't even know what this is, but it's not working.
Yep. Yeah, that is something
good old
that OSs, especially Windows, they at least got really good at. Is just Windows is like, I need driver, go out to internet. Hey, driver, get that, put it in. Hey, it works. Move on with your day. Windows 10 got like
We
that
got
was
spoiled.
that was the first one like where it just did it. It didn't matter. Like you didn't have driver issues after that.
See,
And it seems like Windows 11 is following in those
Windows
footsteps as
7,
well.
I think, was the first one that I used on my own hardware on like a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And even like that, I don't remember having too many driver issues there. I remember with my XP computer, I had to do quite a bit to get it up and running, but I didn't really use it that much.
We had a run of I think there was a run of HP Pro desks that just had some stupid network driver issue. Like I feel like I remember just there was a span of time for a couple of years that on a fairly regular basis we would just get a ticket here and there. Or I'd hear from the help desk they were getting a ticket here and there of some network issue, and they had to go and update the network driver, and it worked. But it was on a particular just a little, section of time, just a little bit there that of the certain HPs that we were selling just were having these weird network driver issues. Of course, it's Intel NICs, so Intel just had a bad batch. Or
would network drivers
happens
fall
all
under
the time
the
with
it's
them.
always DNS bucket?
Yeah. Especially with Intel, like in their NICs, like go look up the all the issues with the i225 2.5 gig NIC that Intel made. It's something with like either a later i225 or I've had i226s out here and hasn't been any.
If you want to have network driver issues, try running Linux on a Apple computer from like the 2010s and before. Like those Broadcom drivers are such a
so you're telling me that
such a pain.
you're telling me that my Mac that I've had in here for a while, I shouldn't try to install Linux on it.
If you know what you're doing, it's not too hard. And
Cool,
like
I'm not
the
gonna do
older
it.
the Mac at this point, at least I feel like the older the Mac at this point, the easier it is to kind of get up and running because it's had enough time to fill it in. But I remember installing Linux on a 2010 MacBook, 15-inch MacBook Pro, and then a 13-inch 2013 MacBook Pro. And both of those, it was like starting out, I didn't realize that I had to go out and find third-party drivers for the Broadcom stuff. Like you had to jump through a few hoops. It wasn't just an automatic thing. And so, yeah, that was an experience. I learned a lot, but it definitely wasn't an out-of-the-box experience as far as the network goes in that regard.
Yeah.
for the wireless, for the like wired in, and I learned that I had to just be wired in during the setup process to then get everything set up, and then I could once I got
Oh, okay.
the
So the
Wi-Fi
Broadcom
yeah.
wireless chip. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'll say, a really nice Windows thing that I was late to the party on, and I think you recommended to me that, or you bugged me to check it out, and I finally did, is Power Toys.
Mm-hmm.
And when did has Power Toys always been in Windows? Like, when did that start? Like, when did they originally do Power Toys?
Started late in the Windows 10 life span.
Okay. Oh,
Because,
so
like,
it's that
Power
new.
Toys? No, way before then. So I used it on XP.
not the current iteration of Power Toys.
Not the current.
Well, there's been
but
many versions of it, I think.
Yeah, there has. There's been many, many versions of Power Toys.
I didn't hear about it until
Well, you're a youngin.
and the current back myself.
This is the sound of him fact checking himself.
You can insert some like thinking music.
Yeah.
How do I know? Because I used Power Toys on XP. I'm also looking at the Internet Archive's little archive page for Microsoft Power Toys for Windows XP, which came with some honestly really good additions. Like one that I didn't even remember, but I do know that I did use at one point is Sync Toy, which like your not like Sync Thing, but Sync Toy will allow you to basically provide a source, such as like a digital camera, an email, cell phones, portable media players, PDAs, remember those? And it'll let you, or it would help you like copy, move, and synchronize different directories, like in like an automated way. So like you can plug in like your SD card from your camera,
Mm-hmm.
and it recognizes that directory, and automatically it can go through like, hey, bring this little pop up, and then just boop, move all your stuff.
Oh,
for
and
you.
just okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty cool.
Okay, so I take that back. It's been around for a while.
We know, we were just talking about it.
The reason why I remember this was the there's an image resizer and then a taskbar magnifier that some of the elderly individuals I used to have to service needed those.
Yeah.
So as for an accessibility feature in there, it was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Which I say, I mean, I say I use it like honestly, the only thing that I really use it for right now, I haven't explored much more of it, is the Fancy Zones. I
hate Fancy Zones.
What?
I don't like
Love Fancy Zones.
It's garbage.
Because that's what lets me like, because I use it on my personal desktop. For some reason I like to have just stuff up. So I have like I have Discord, our Teams, Signal, and Spotify up like all the time, and then my middle monitor I'll have like YouTube, whatever I'm doing there. And Discord and Teams is easy. I just use the default, just split screen, just one on one side, one on the other. But like with Signal, it's just a very classic chat thing. So like I don't want it to be a whole half a screen. I want Spotify to be bigger because there's more, more real estate.
So like 2/3 to Spotify, 1/3 to
So, but the default Windows zones that they provide you with doesn't have it doesn't have a something for that where it's a third and then 2/3 of a whole thing. So I went and created my own Fancy Zones that are that. And I like the fact that you just click on the window, hit shift, and it's just you drag it in the neighborhood of that blue spot and it just does the thing. And then for work, I do it on my second monitor. I have it vertical, and it lets me do. I tried Teams and Outlook half and half, top and bottom, for a while, and I just found that I needed just a little bit more real estate for Teams than I did Outlook, and it just bugged the crap out of me because I was constantly having to like kind of scroll back and forth on my contacts thing for Teams for the chats. And so I went into Fancy Zones and I just made it just a little, like, I don't know how many pixels, but it's, probably an inch and a half taller on the bottom for Teams than and it's perfect now. Been using it for like months and months and months, and it's just right. So that's really the only thing I use, but it's been very beneficial.
Coming from a Linux, window manager, it leaves a lot to be desired. But
Hostility in the morning drinking game. Every time Matt says Linux, take a swig.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
If he says Debian, take two.
Let's not, shall we?
Can I do the Steve Ballmer, but instead of developers, it's just Debian. Debian. I tried to play around with Fancy Zones early on, and so the version of PowerToys that I started using was for Windows 10. Later Windows 11, and that was Windows 10 didn't get support until 2019, and that's when Microsoft then made these open source as well. So they weren't just freeware; they were also open source, GitHub, the whole 9 yards. Fancy Zones, at least the last time I used it, which was probably 2 years ago, was trash, garbage. I hated it. The features that I wanted to do, like one of them was you have your zone set up, right? That works fine.
Sure.
Switching between windows in the zone, so not just Alt Tab or Command Tab, but you could set up a shortcut to then jump back and forth between windows in a zone to make it faster. So instead of having to Alt Tab like 300 times, depending on how many windows you have open.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If you're
like
working,
it's faster navigation, right?
That's what your mouse is for.
Didn't work. We've had this conversation, Steve. It didn't. It just didn't work. And so rebinding the keys didn't work. Like it just flat out did not work. There was an issue on GitHub for the longest time, and every time they said they fixed it, I went back and tried it. Still didn't work. So I just gave up on it. And then now I'm down to just one monitor, and I only ever have like one window open at a time anyway, so it doesn't make a difference now.
Crazy person.
But when I had 3 monitors and I wanted things set up in a particular way, Fancy Zones didn't work. So I ended up just doing, because I had portrait monitor on the left, portrait monitor on the right, and then just a landscape monitor in the middle. And then I would have, what did I have? I had, I think, notes on one, browser window on the other, and then just like the code in the middle. And I use virtual desktops more than anything else now because that's much faster to switch through.
And I can,
and
that
serves my purpose.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I can see, like even more, and to your point of like having the hotkey of switching between the windows on a screen. If you are working in like a ton of virtual environments a lot, and like you need to have multiple up, like if you had a nice big monitor, middle or one side, like with a lot of real estate, if you do quarters or like you could have it somewhat organized, where you do quarters or 6 or something like that, you break it down where you could have a bunch of them up. And then if you were doing a bunch of bouncing between those, having that hotkey of boop, 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 like you said, instead of having to Alt Tab.
Yeah.
I can see that scenario.
So what you described was the Mega Desk setup. Yeah.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it?
Eventually, when I get an ultra wide, I'll probably try.
No, I'm saying Fancy Zones makes sense for that setup. Yeah. I'm not saying the setup makes sense.
No, the setup makes perfect sense.
Do not mince my words, sir.
At what point does it go from Mega Desk to like Ultra? Is it like Super Saiyan Desk? Or we like to like Super Saiyan 3?
It depends.
No, I think we're just regular Super Saiyan.
If I stack another 55-inch TV above it, then I think that's when it.
No, you hang it at an angle from the ceiling like a cloud, and have it at a 45 over the current one, where you can like lean back in your chair.
I'm gonna have to get a Lazy Boy as the desk chair just so I can lean back.
That would be such a John thing. Can we all agree on this?
Second
that
generation.
Would be such a John thing to do, to get like a 60-inch monitor or TV, mount it to the screen, mount it to the ceiling, and all it has is just like scrolling clouds. That's it.
He could do one that's like a thunderstorm, where it's just like rumbling thunder and little lightning every now and then.
Not too hard that doesn't hit the sub too much, because the backup server, I don't think you can take another hit right now.
You haven't isolated all the freaking machines in the rack yet.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, go get some yoga mats. You need to put everything in there on yoga
apparently
mats.
I didn't think that through. Let's just put the backup server in a desktop case on the floor. It'll be fine. Definitely the 10-inch subwoofer won't affect it at all. That's why I didn't have a bunch of errors over the weekend.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody was getting crunk over here, and
it was Battlefield.
Oh my god! I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
So it wasn't just PTSD for you; it was PTSD for the backup server as well.
It was mostly just for the backup server. I was just more of going, please tell me I didn't just kill like a 40 terabyte array.
No, it wasn't PTSD. It was TS. It was just the traumatic stress. There was no post. There was no disorder. No, it's just traumatic stress constantly.
I mean, the drives still have over 4 years of warranty on it. It would have been inconvenient having to get those replaced.
This is just another reason that You're not looking at this the right way.
Okay.
This is
How should I be
just,
looking at it?
this is now a reason for you to upgrade those drives to SSDs.
Listen, I looked at like doing an old SSD array for the amount of storage that I need. I'm gonna need a much higher paying job than what I got now to be able to afford that. No,
Man, I was watching a Jeff Geerling video the other day, and he's reviewing these different NAS products and stuff like that, and he pulls out this. This is the first time that I'd seen like an all SSD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I'm used to just you have the drive bays and
Sure.
you have drive bays, right? And then he comes out here and he's like, yeah, I just got these, like sponsored by whatever, and he's got 20 different SSDs that he's gonna put in things, and I was just like, man,
You got a lot of it gives you a lot of cool options. Honestly, it would be kind of cool. I'm sure that this already exists and there's tons of probably files you can download and do this, but I just haven't seen any. I haven't gone looking for it. It'd be cool to do a mini NAS, do a Raspberry Pi, small
People
board.
do it.
that's one of the things that he
With-
did was like
Yeah.
And
a
3D
Raspberry
print
Pi
a-
cluster.
Yeah, or and just like 3D print a little housing for it that would take like 4 SSDs, and like basically just literally shrink down a Synology Ugreen like that style of NAS, but shrink it down to run on a
That'd be
Raspberry
kinda
Pi.
cool.
And then it could be like a portable, like literally a
Mhm.
portable NAS. You just like
Well,
stick
if you
it in
got
the
those
bag.
like instead of the full length SSDs, you got those like little bitty ones.
like an
okay.
M.2.
Well, yeah, like the
Actually, you could
M.2,
do
but
an
the
M.2 board,
not
yeah.
not the 2280 is what he's talking about. It's the
Oh,
short.
yeah, the little bitty,
the 2230s or something.
yeah.
like
Yeah.
what you get in like the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
right. Those little bitty ones. You could get a tiny
Sure.
thing there, because you can get those in like 2 terabytes now, I think.
Well, but you still have to have the I mean, it's still like the SATA interface to the motherboard and that whole.
Well, you don't.
But that would
no,
still be- it would still be a lot more
NVMe, You
compact
don't run
than-
SATA to it, but yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you
you
could.
As long as you have
could
the PCIe link.
you could kind of scale it down
Mhm.
as far as if you wanted it to look
Well, and
kind
that-
of like a
and I-
3.5 inch.
And I guess the
hard drive
the
bay.
thing what I'm the vision that I have of it is 1-to-1 emulating a full size NAS where you have the multiple drives to achieve RAID and do RAID
Mhm.
arrays and stuff like that. No, I mean if you just want a Pi or something that has a large amount of storage to do.
no,
like
I'm
that,
talking about what you're
and
talking
not have
about.
the
Yeah.
redundancy.
Same thing,
then-
but as far as like
could be
having
teeny-tiny, but-
it scale and match, instead of like you have the
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 inch long SSDs, you have like a 2.5 inch long.
But even
SSD.
even with that setup, like it would only be so fast, obviously. But like you could achieve a very beefy, like large amount of storage by using like 2.5 inch standard 2.5 inch SSDs that are multi-terabyte. But you could like instead of having the form factor where they're stacked vertical on top of like a board, you could do it this way, like have it where your case is elongated like a rectangle, and you have your Pi board, that over here, and then your wires to connect them and have them 2 and 2,
Mhm.
like a 2U server setup
Mhm.
where they're stacked like that, and you could have like a little rectangle that you like slip in your bag, and it has the I/O on it, and it would be a NAS, but you could achieve like you could have some kind of ridiculous
portable data center.
like 20 terabyte NAS that's this big.
Yep.
I don't know. That'd be cool. John has his thinking face on. I don't know if this is a good idea for me.
No,
John
no.
has this. John has this face that we could.
That's
Like,
I can't-
That's your thinking face. I know
No.
that face.
No, no.
that's
see,
the I'm going
see,
to eBay later face.
No, I already have what I need with the SSD array that I have in my current NAS. It's like no,
But
for
can
me,
you put it in your pocket.
no, because I don't need it to. I don't have a reason to take a home lab on the road.
Yet.
No, I just
But would that
That's
be
fine.
is that a home lab or a mobile lab?
Yes.
Home is where the heart is.
There it is. This guy gets it.
home is where the internet connects automatically. That's all I know.
Hey, the internet can connect anywhere if you try hard enough.
No,
Or
you
no,
do-
you just pay the bill.
No, I don't know if that's accurate. 'Cause technically, if you have your device knows your work internet, then you're saying that work is home too, and we can't say that.
You know what we can say, Steven?
What? Microsoft's 50 years old now.
I was gonna say the outro. I was hoping that like you.
Microsoft's 15 years away from retirement.
15 years away.
15.
No, they upped it again. 17 years away from retirement.
Is retirement like the
minimum age is
whole-
like 67 now.
Is
or
it like
something
the
that.
Disney Disney copyright laws where they up it every time that it's about to expire.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, so eventually we'll have like retirements at
Basically,
100.
for us, it's just going to be that thing that's just 1 year out of. It's always just a little bit out of reach.
It's
and
like the
till you die.
what State Farm commercial, the guy with like the fishing rod and the little dollar, and he's like, oh,
Oh, got to be
oh.
quicker than that. Oh, well, on that note, happy birthday, Microsoft. I guess is we love you and hate
Here's
you.
for
at the
50
same
more
times.
years of misery.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us today on Hostility in the Morning podcast. If you stayed this long and you like what you heard and you like Microsoft, leave us a comment and let us know. Or if you don't like Microsoft, also leave us comments and let us know. You can also hit us up on X, Facebook, Instagram, or info@hostilityinthemorning.com. You can say happy birthday to Microsoft on all of those platforms. We upload every other Tuesday real early on Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. But if you want a one-stop shop for everything hostile, you can find everything at hostilityinthemorning.com. And remember, have a hostile morning.